What is up, guys? Rick Cacus here, and today we are going to be discussing and really diving into one of the most exciting things to come out of E3 2017 for Destiny 2, which was the unveiling of an entirely new gun type. Certainly unexpected, but hey, I'm not complaining. And speaking of E3, the background gameplay is from there as well. It's Destiny 2 PC gameplay, courtesy of GF Laserbolt. His channel is linked in the description down below, and I would definitely recommend going over there and just saying at least thanks for the gameplay. And guys, let's get started because this is really exciting. Anytime there's a new gun type, it is a big deal. I mean, just look at what the new gun types did in original Destiny. Melee weapons forever changed PvE tactics. Sidearms, they're a pretty big deal in PvP right now. These are massive game-changing experiences with these new gun types, and so I think it is very important to analyze what was revealed with the Tarantula 3FR, a rather unassuming legendary weapon that was inserted into people's E3 builds, but is actually a linear fusion rifle, a new Destiny 2 gun type. Now, to analyze this linear fusion rifle, let's first look at the existing linear fusion rifles in Destiny, because although they aren't their own gun type, there is certainly some examples of them that you can use right now. Now, the first example, and the one that went to my mind right away when I first talked about this, was the Sleeper Simulant, exotic heavy fusion rifle in Destiny. I mean, the Tarantula is in the power weapon category. This is kind of the new heavy weapon category within Destiny 2. So it makes sense that the current heavy linear fusion rifle, the Sleeper Simulant, would be the most comparable thing. But as we'll discuss in just a sec, that may not be the case. Now, what exactly is a linear fusion rifle? Well, it's all in the name. It's a fusion rifle in the sense that you have to charge the weapon before firing a shot. And it's linear in the sense that instead of shooting a multitude of bolts like a normal fusion rifle, it shoots one single, very accurate, high damaging bolt. Now again, that is comparable to the Sleeper Simulant. You charge it up, it shoots one laser beam, I guess, that bounces off all the walls and kills you a surprisingly high amount of times. Well, if you're me anyways, and it does a fantastic amount of damage. So, will linear fusion rifles within Destiny all be kind of similar to the Sleeper Simulant? Well, again, maybe not, because we actually have a second linear fusion rifle in Destiny that is potentially more comparable. It is the Queenbreaker's bow exotic special weapon. Now remember, special weapons are combining with heavy weapons into the power weapon category in Destiny 2, and therein lies kind of a problem with already the two examples we've given. We have one linear fusion rifle being the Sleeper Simulant and another linear fusion rifle being the Queenbreaker's bow. The Queenbreaker's bow is more comparable to a traditional sniper rifle with a charge time. It has a 6-round magazine. It actually has two different sights that change the behavior of this gun. One of them makes it charge a little bit faster and not do as much damage and not have as far range. The other one, the marksman sight, makes it charge a little bit longer but do more damage and have increased range. Well, in the world of linear fusion rifles in Destiny 2, these differences would just be two different weapons. Like, you'd have one legendary linear fusion rifle that would maybe charge faster, do less damage, and an entirely different one that would charge longer, do more damage. Exactly like how normal fusion rifles are balanced in-game right now. And when we look at the background gameplay of the Queenbreaker's bow, we can see that it can one-shot kill the lower tier enemies like dregs, but usually it does require a headshot. And this damage layout is somewhat comparable to, if we look at actual gameplay of the linear fusion rifle in Destiny 2, it's very Queenbreaker's bow-esque. And again, as I was alluding to earlier, this is kind of the problem. Because they're combining heavy weapons and special weapons, where do linear fusion rifles now lie? The heavy weapon version, the Sleeper, is probably better than most other snipers. The Sleeper does so much damage per shot that it's going to out DPS pretty much every sniper. When you're on Atheon, for example, at the end of the Vault of Glass, you want a Sleeper Simulant over a sniper rifle. And so if linear fusion rifles were comparable to the Sleeper in Destiny 2, you just push out snipers in PvE. Like, why would you use a sniper when you have access to the Sleeper? So that's a definite problem. Likely we're going to have linear fusion rifles in Destiny 2 lie somewhere between what we see with the Queenbreaker's bow damage output and what we see with the Sleeper damage output, and potentially different archetypes of linear fusion rifles will lie all the way between these two infamous Destiny 1 exotics. You could potentially have very low magazine sizes, maybe even 1 or 2 linear fusion rifles in Destiny 2 that have super long charge times but are actually doing Sleeper Simulant damage. And then you have higher magazine sizes, faster charge rates that are more comparable again to the Queenbreaker's bow. That is definitely how to diversify that category. But there's one more linear fusion rifle in Destiny that a lot of people, when I see talking about these, forget about. It's the Vex Mythoclast. The Vex Mythoclast is, by all definitions, a linear fusion rifle. It shoots 1 bolt at a time. Now, it shoots very fast, it doesn't have a charge time, and heck, it's fully automatic, but again, it is definitely a linear fusion rifle. And when you think of these 3 weapons all together, you can kind of see how broad the design space for linear fusion rifles could potentially be. We may have, now this is conjecture, but it's entirely possible, we may have linear fusion rifles in Destiny 2 that are somewhat comparable to the Vex Mythoclast. What if you just had almost machine gun-like linear fusion rifles? Potentially they're semi-automatic, potentially you have to get a perk to make them fully automatic, but they could be, kind of souped up Vex Mythoclast that are obviously more powerful for the sake of them being in the power weapon category and not the primary weapon category. That is definitely interesting, because again, once you get lower damaging than the Queenbreaker's bow, you open up even more possibilities for linear fusion rifles that are almost acting like scout rifles, even fast-firing scout rifles, and are used more for the sake of ad clearing, again like machine guns in Destiny right now, than necessarily taking down bosses. Now, there is actually a little bit of proof for this theory when we actually take a look at the Destiny 2 linear fusion rifle. It has 2 perks that we can see. The first one is Precision, fires a long-range precision energy bolt. The next one is Snapshot, faster time to aim down sights. Now, unfortunately, we haven't actually been able to go in yet and inspect these weapons. You weren't able to at the world premiere, you weren't able to here, so we have no idea what the perk layout is going to be like in Destiny 2. And that's probably because Bungie is still working on it, they're still ironing it out. But that precision perk is very interesting, isn't it? Because fires a long-range precision energy bolt. That's kind of what you think of when you think of a linear fusion rifle every time. Will every single linear fusion rifle in Destiny 2 have that precision perk? If it does, what's the point of having this precision perk? If it's just an inherent trait of linear fusion rifles, what is the point of having the perk, right? There really isn't one. It should just be an inherent trait. Like, you don't have fully automatic as a perk on every single auto rifle. It's just how auto rifles are. You don't need a perk for that. So does that mean without the precision perk, we get much more interesting linear fusion rifles? Without the precision perk, could you potentially have weapons more similar to the Vex Mythoclast, where it's not a long-range precision energy bolt, but rather a rapid energy bolt, but just shooting 1 at a time? That again is really interesting, that the high damage linear fusion rifles would have this precision perk, and then the low damage ones potentially wouldn't. And if that is the case, it would really open up a bunch of possibilities for what linear fusion rifles could be in Destiny 2. Now this is all just under the guise of legendaries, blues, and I suppose greens, and potentially even whites as well. Just normal weapons within the gun type. We aren't even looking at these in the sense of exotics. Exotics add a huge amount of diversity to a gun type because they're usually a lot different than weapons within that normal gun type. Heck, you know, fusion rifle exotics include something like the Sleeper Simulant and the Queenbreaker's bow, and again the Vex Mythoclast. They were so unique that they've splintered off and formed, as we can see, an entirely new gun type. So exotics within the linear fusion rifle slot have a ton of potential. Not only that, but we could also get some more diversity from gun type exclusive perks. Now, for example, those would include focus fire on auto rifles or head seeker on pulse rifles. And I'm very excited to see what they could include in Destiny 2 for linear fusion rifles. What about one that increases the charge time but shoots 2 bolts instead of 1? That would be really sweet. And so guys, that is going to conclude our look at linear fusion rifles, a very exciting new Destiny 2 gun type that has a huge potential for diversity and really switching up gameplay within the game. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it informative. Now if you did, please remember to help me out by simply rating and especially sharing this video. If you guys want to see more Destiny 2 content, be sure to slap that subscribe button. Now if you guys want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at RickCacus. That's linked in the description down below, as is my Twitch channel, which you can also follow. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.